Holy crap, Rive can now do full 3D rendering, Maxon appoints a new chief product officer with deep After Effects roots, and Adobe drops some wild new updates to Photoshop. It's Motion Mondays, and I cannot get this song out of my head. Rive's scripting feature has been blowing up social media, and motion designer slash plugin developer Frederick Beria just dropped a video showing how he used Rive's scripting tool with Blender to create a full 3D render engine that runs inside of Rive. He's taking Blender models, converting them into Rive code, and using them as live 3D assets in real time. It's absolutely mind-blowing, and he shared all the scripts in his GitHub repository. Frederick did this for a Contra Rive challenge and created Orbit 404, which renders real-time 3D orbital mechanics with accurate depth sorting, projection, and dynamic lighting without any external libraries. He posted a public preview link where you can control this yourself in your browser. This is a Blender 3D model running on Rive's scripting engine. The performance is incredible. It's now crystal clear that you could develop entirely 3D apps inside of Rive. The tooling is still pretty technical right now, but Frederick has planted himself directly on the bleeding edge of Rive development. If this gets you excited about Rive, by the way, check out Rive Academy Volumes 1 and 2 on School Motion All-Access. Our friends at AE Scripts and AE Plugins dropped Fractal Noise Browser for After Effects. It comes with more than 200 fractal noise and turbulent noise presets with visual thumbnails and animated previews. Now, all of us Andrew Kramer fans know just how powerful fractal noise can be, but it's got a lot of settings. Having presets with a built-in animated preview makes exploration so much faster. There are even options to automatically create expressions when you use these presets, so the animation is driven by expressions. You don't even have to keyframe anything. It's currently marked down to just over $26 until February 21st. Big news from Maxon. They have appointed Steve Ford as their new chief product officer. He was previously the group product manager and eventually general manager for all of Adobe's video and audio products, including After Effects. If any old heads out there remember Nucleo Pro for After Effects, he was also the founder and CEO of Gridiron Software. For the past few years, he's been at Amazon, and now he's diving back into motion design as CPO at Maxon. The press release notes that he was drawn to Maxon in part by a fundamental shift in how creative content is made. Not reading the tea leaves, I'm guessing this means how AI might be integrated into these tools, or how these tools could be expanded to let artists build design systems more easily. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Steve cooks up, and once he gets ramped up, I expect some really cool things from Maxon. Quick School of Motion News Roundup time. Last week, All Access members attended our January live portfolio review. Coming up February 12th at 12 p.m. Eastern, we have our monthly live guest workshop featuring the incredibly brilliant Kaho Yoshida talking about using stop motion for commercial projects. Also dropping in February, our next course, Substance Painter for Motion Designers, taught by EJ Hassenfratz. This course is amazing if you want to finally dive into Substance Painter and learn how to create complex, realistic, or stylized textures. We have over 3,400 members in All Access, and we're the only online school that gives you unlimited critique on your coursework, monthly live events, and a brand new motion design job space with curated jobs from around the globe. Check out schoolmotion.com/allaccess to join. Our friend Emmanuel Colombo dropped a barn burner of a blog post on brands in motion called Reframe the Evolving Paradigm of Motion Design. He explores how the platforms that used to be useful for getting work as a freelancer are no longer the fertile grounds they used to be. He takes you from the early days of motion design to the present day, where things are way more scattered. His thesis lines up with what we talked about in our very short end of the year podcast. Motion design is no longer an industry, it's kind of a discipline. It's a toolbox that you can bring to lots of different places. Motion design is now embedded in product design, web design, game design. And Emmanuel talks about the ascendancy of tools like Rive, Cavalry, and Jitter because these tools emphasize integration and let you build systems rather than just one-off creative pieces. It's a long article, and anyone in this field would serve themselves very well by reading it, especially if you're younger and you weren't working 15 years ago. It's really going to help you see where the puck is headed. Krea just launched Krea Realtime Edit, an upgraded real-time AI tool. You can draw whatever you want, create a prompt, and pretty much in real time see what your result is going to look like. The upgrade is that the model adheres to the prompt much better. There are some interesting examples, like using your webcam to turn yourself into claymation, which is kind of awkward. I really needed to shave when I recorded that demo, by the way. You can draw a very crude shape and see a rendering in real time. You can update the prompt and watch it change. If you're happy with the asset, you can download it, and there's also a mode where Krea can record part of your screen and use that as your generation. The quality isn't amazing yet, but for certain assets, if you need something that's a specific shape, it's becoming a more useful tool. If you're on a small team that does a lot of 3D, Marvelous Designer has a new indie license that might save you money. They don't have the pricing on their page, you have to fill out a form, but if your studio has at least 2 employees and annual revenue of less than $500,000, you're now eligible. If you're unfamiliar with Marvelous Designer, it's basically the go-to tool for creating 3D clothing. It's very niche, but one that character animators must have. I think it's really cool that tools like this exist where they're so specific that the development team can focus all their energy on making the perfect version of this really niche thing. Check out the new pricing at the link in the description. Here's another free plugin from developer Tom Dorr called NTSC-RS. It emulates old school VHS artifacts. There are plugins that do this already, but this one is open source and free. You can run it in After Effects or Premiere, and the plugin lives on a GitHub repository that is 2 GitHub mentions in one video. We are nerds. There are very clear instructions on how to download and install it with versions for PC or Mac OS in both OpenFX and After Effects versions. The OpenFX version also runs on DaVinci Resolve, HitFilm, and Vegas. The reviews seem pretty good, so if you want to play around with the retro look, give it a shot. Time to feature some awesome work. First up is a trailer from Google called Dear Upstairs Neighbors. This has a beautiful mix of 3D and hand-drawn looks directed by Pixar alum Connie Hu. She talks about how they used traditional production techniques, but then trained an AI model on paintings the team did and used that as basically a filter over the final renders. It allowed them to get a really unique look that was true to the director's vision, but took a lot less time than hand painting 7,000 frames. This is a look at the future of animated filmmaking. Talented artists using skills they've honed over decades, but implementing AI tools to get looks that would just be too time-consuming or expensive to pull off otherwise. I also found an amazing reel on Framerate's new feed feature. Check that out, by the way, if you haven't yet. It's from Dan Snells. It's beautiful, with a great mix of styles, texture, a great use of color, and quirky animation. The reel is also edited brilliantly. Check out studiosnells.com for more of Dan's work, and with a reel like this, I cannot imagine he's having any trouble finding gigs. Finally, Stash featured this really cool trailer for the upcoming Winter Olympics done by the studio No Mint, using stop motion and some really innovative techniques to get this fiery, streaky effect. Stop motion is so labor intensive, but it gives you a look that is just impossible to mimic. Check out the Stash article in the show notes to learn more about this really ambitious spot. Matthew Inman, the popular mainstream cartoonist behind the Oatmeal, weighed in on AI art. This is a long article done through illustrations that he drew himself. I think he's tapped into a feeling a lot of us have. When you see AI work plastered all over social media and everybody telling you how great it looks, but a lot of what you're seeing doesn't look good, it feels kind of icky. There's also this philosophical question. Just because maybe some AI art does look good, does it make you feel the same way that something you know a human made makes you feel? Matt says no. He misses that feeling of how did somebody make this? But then he does talk about how AI art can be useful, and this has been my philosophy. Using AI tools to help you create artwork in conjunction with traditional skills can save real artists time and let them create things closer to the vision in their head without having to do what Matt calls the administrative tasks. In the end, he seems to think that AI can be useful in enabling artists to focus on the part that matters to them, the core of the composition. It's a really nuanced take, and I recommend anyone who's still struggling with the role of AI in our world read it. It is brilliant. Netflix Animation Studios announced they're joining the Blender Development Fund as a corporate patron, spending 240,000 euros a year to help support Blender. Frankly, I think Blender should probably raise their prices. Netflix can afford a lot more than that. But this is really great because the Blender Foundation frankly needs the money, and it's a testament to just how entrenched Blender has become. Its market share continues to grow. Dell also recently announced that they are supporting Blender, and apparently, if you buy a Dell computer, you get a free license of Blender. EJ's gonna be so happy. Our School Motion Student of the Week is Young Fishman, not to be confused with Old Fishman. A freelance motion designer in California with a clever portfolio site. Young recently went through our newest course, UX Animation Essentials, and told us this course felt like a much-needed bridge for traditional motion designers who want to step into product design. One of the assignments is to mock up some product animations, and Young's animation feels basically perfect. It's appropriate, not too overdone, but it tells the story the product needs to tell. UX animation is an exploding area in our field. Young, really nice work. I hope this turns into a nice portfolio piece for you, and thank you so much for being a part of All Access. YouTuber Brandon Larry put out an incredible video where he tests using AI as a render engine. He took a 3D scene of a race car driver and brought a clay render into Weavy, the node-based AI tool recently acquired by Figma. It's also my favorite AI tool at the moment because you can use almost any AI model inside of it. He shows shows how he takes a 3D render, creates the look he's after, and runs that into a video generator that takes all the camera movement and lighting from his clay render and turns it into what looks like real video. He didn't have to texture, composite, or do all the things necessary to get a photorealistic render. He also showed examples where it didn't work as well, trying to do a flyover of a city, for example. The AI models don't maintain detail and consistency with really dense visuals as well as they need to, yet. But you do get almost total control over the camera and layout, and you're essentially using AI as a render engine. It's a really interesting video and definitely worth a look. Why not? One more free plugin for you. This one is from Knights of the Editing Table, and it's called Dagger. It's a free plugin for Premiere, kind of like Video Copilot's FX console, but for Premiere. It's a control bar you bind to a hotkey, and when you press that hotkey, a little box pops up. You start typing the effect you want, and in one click, it applies it to your clip. It's a really nice time saver, and it's free. And if you like it, check out Excalibur, which is a paid plugin, but far more powerful than Dagger. Adobe recently dropped a lot of updates to Photoshop, and the GOAT of Photoshop, Pixelperfect, showed off all the new toys. Here we are in 2026, and we finally have an adjustment layer for grain. There's also a new adjustment layer called Clarity and Dehaze that brings back details in hazy images. There's new generative fill and expand features using a new, better Firefly model that gives you much higher resolution results. One of the biggest problems with generative fill was the limited resolution, and that is now much better. The biggest feature is the ability to add a reference image to your generative fill, or to basically stitch an image into an existing image and composite it, kind of like the Harmonize feature does. It actually does a really good job, very useful for adding features to an image, changing clothing, or even changing faces. There's also an updated remove tool that uses the new Firefly model with much better results. Adobe also announced their new community portal with a feature request tab where you can vote on After Effects features. Given how quickly the After Effects team has been shipping, it would not surprise me to see a bunch of these make their way into future versions. So head over there and upvote the features you like or add new suggestions. And that is it for this packed episode of Motion Mondays. All Access members, we have an amazing workshop with Kaho Yoshida coming up on February 12th. Substance Painter for Motion Designers is coming out in February as well. Check out all the details at schoolofmotion.com/allaccess. That's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week.